Thunder still brings chills to my skin. But everything Gaia creates has a purpose, no?
Yeah. And if we can get Hephaestus back, she can get those Stormbirds in line. You've spoken with Kotallo?
A few words. Tenakth don't have much use for us outsiders. You must have made quite the impression for him to offer his fealty.
So you've been talking to Gaia?
Yes. She was kind enough to take me through some of the history of the Old Ones, including their demise and the heroic actions of her creator, Elizabeth Sobek. I was surprised to see she was you. Past, but reborn? Not that I claim to understand how.
You said you met Beta?
Varl mentioned she was hurt. I thought I'd offer her an extract to soothe the pain.
That was kind of you.
I just hope she doesn't plan on staying burrowed down there like that. She looks like she's barely seen the light of day as it is.
So, how does a tribe like the Utaru manage to maintain the peace with warriors like the Tenakth?
By holding them off. When our fields bloomed aplenty, the Tenakth looked upon our lands with envy. But Plainsong's dishes provided sanctuary and high ground to keep invaders at bay. In the end, even the Tenakth saw sense in a truce. The Utaru promised to provide the Tenakth with food from our crops every year. In exchange, the Tenakth would relinquish one of their own, a veteran, to train the Utaru in combat. This custom was abandoned a few years after the derangement. But some veterans still remain in the plains.
I've been meaning to ask, what's the deal with you and the chorus? You didn't seem to be on the best of terms.
That's what happens when you're the one Utaru who insists on publicly defying them. Twice. When the Karja invaded the Utaru plains, they did more than just attack our villages. They burned our fields, took our people as slaves, and murdered those who were too weak to make the trip back to Meridian.
To be sacrificed in the Sun Ring.
I was helping the healers back then, as waves of refugees swarmed into Plainsong. The chorus was divided in how to face the invaders. Some saw sense in raising arms. Others believed the dishes would keep us safe, as they had many times before. And while they bickered, I buried the seeds of the fallen.
You called yourself a grave singer. What does that mean?
To all living things an end must come. It is my task to ease the passage. I try to bring comfort, and sing of the renewal that death sows the way for.
I was hoping you could tell me more about the land gods.
For generations, they provided for us. Seeding and harvesting the fields of Plainsong. Food for all. A miracle of endless bounty. A blessed land, providing sustenance for my people. Until the derangement. They had always enriched the soil, but for several seasons they have glutted it endlessly with mulch. At least now I know why. The repair bay below was meant to renew them. Without it, they became sick. That is why I must find a way to heal them before my people starve.
It couldn't have been easy. Seeing your people suffer while the Carja invaded your lands.
I come from a small village near Plainsong. My grandmother used to say there was no seed that wouldn't grow there. I moved to the Dishes when I decided to apprentice as a healer. When the Red Raids began, I thought about going back. But the injured kept pouring into Plainsong, day after day. So I kept putting it off. One day, I woke up to hear a Carja raiding party had ransacked my village during the night. I rushed there with the healers to help the survivors, but there weren't any left. The smell of burning flesh haunts me to this day.
I'm sorry, Zoe.
I made it a point to appear before the chorus as soon as we returned, to demand that we take a stand against the invaders. I was denied. So I left to fight on my own.
I need to get going.
May the land bloom in your steps. Aloy, we've gathered some supplies in that chest. Take what you need.
Looks like someone's made this space their own.
I see you found Varl and Zoe's room, Aloy. I believe they wanted private accommodations.
I see.
Is your focus acting up again?
That's fine.
There it is.
Aloy! Glad you made it back okay. She panicked after waking up and stumbled down here. I thought it best to wait for you.
I'll talk to her. Hello? It's Beta, right? My name's Aloy. What's wrong? Is it your injury?
Simulacrum withdrawal syndrome.
I don't understand.
Sudden removal of a neurologically integrated data device. The brain, especially the cerebellum, goes into a kind of sensory freefall. Everything real feels Unreal. Distant.
Is there anything that can help?
Do you have a focus to spare? It's primitive, but I can make it work.
Yeah.
Booting up. So, Aloy, I suppose you want information.
About you and the Zeniths? Yeah. Why are they here? What do they want? How did they get you? But let's start the beginning. I'm guessing they faked the destruction of their ship 1,000 years ago?
That seems consistent with their behavior. They wouldn't want to be followed.
So far, Zenith established a colony world after all.
Yes, for a few hundred years, but it didn't last. Some sort of natural disaster rendered it uninhabitable.
Okay, so... the descendants of Far Zenith escaped a dying planet, and now they want to claim Earth for themselves?
Not their descendants.
What?
Not their descendants. It's them. The same ones who left Earth 1,000 years ago. You didn't know?
How can they still be alive? They don't even look... What did they do to themselves?
I believe it's a combination of pharmaceutical, cellular treatments, and technological implants.
And you? Does that mean that you're...
I'm not like them. I was made. On the way to Earth. On the ship. I spent years studying in my training interface, all so that I could serve my function.
Access and control of the terraforming system. But why? What do the Zeniths want with it?
When I discovered the Zero Dawn system had disseminated into its subcomponents, I thought my purpose was to fix it. But I don't think the Zeniths want that at all. I think they want to wipe Earth clean and start over.
So the Zeniths want to exterminate life on Earth. That's what Gaia and I concluded too. But why? Why kill everyone just to take over?
When they took me on missions with them, I saw how they... butchered the tribal people we encountered. They didn't seem to care about a rejuvenated Earth, so... I concluded that they must want a hard reboot of the system. Then they can redesign it to be exactly what they want.
Mass extinction for their own comfort? Who thinks like that? Well, without their Gaia kernel, they'll have a hard time doing that. So we're dealing with the same Far Zenith people who once lived on Earth. What else do you know about them?
They were some of the most affluent and powerful people on Earth. They controlled almost every major resource, every industry. Gerard commands them. He's the one who decided to set up a base. The others, Eric, Tilda, Verbena, they resent his authority over them, but in the end, they always do what he says.
Eric. He's the one I fought back in the Hades Proving Lab.
He enjoys hurting people.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned the Zenith set up a base here on Earth. Where is it?
Off the coast, I think. Whenever I had to go on missions, I was transported inside of a Spectre drone. I couldn't see anything outside. But I did overhear the Zeniths talking about it once. They were discussing setting up a perimeter energy shield to repel the local fauna. I'm certain they have other security measures. Spectre patrols, machine lures. It must be impregnable.
What's inside the base?
Launch facilities, so they can shuttle back and forth to their ship in orbit. Plus infrastructure to gather materials and fabricate anything they need.
Are there more Zeniths than the ones you met?
I'm not sure. I suppose there must be more of them in the base or back on the ship. For all I know, there could be more of them out in space, other survivors of the colony.
How did you escape the Zeniths?
Before the Hades Proving Lab, I never thought I'd get away from them. Even if I were to run. I'd never survive on my own in the wilds. But then I saw you. And I thought that maybe you could help me. So when the Zeniths pinpointed Eluthia's location in the biomedical research facility, I saw an opportunity.
You said you were born on the way to Earth. In an artificial womb, I'm guessing?
The Zeniths had an ectogenic chamber aboard the ship. An updated version of the one you found me in. They must have used a stored sample of Elizabeth's DNA.
I doubt Elizabeth would have let them take her DNA. Do you know how they got it?
That wasn't part of the archive I was allowed to access.
You said you spent years studying in a training interface. Was this archive you mentioned part of that?
But only the parts I was permitted to access. Aristotle and Aspasia, the avatars of the archive, would assign me learning modules and evaluate my progress.
Wait, those names. They were designed to be the virtual guides for the Apollo database. Before Ted Faro purged it.
The Zeniths have a copy.
So it still exists. And you got to learn from it.
Only what was deemed pertinent to the mission. If I requested information outside of my parameters, my tutors would deny it.
To have all that knowledge, just out of reach. Must have been frustrating. You said you saw an opportunity to escape when you went to capture Eleuthia. What did you do, exactly?
Whenever I was taken out on a mission to recover a subordinate function, only one of the Zeniths would go with me.
The one the rebels killed, outside the facility.
Baina's dead? How did they bypass her shield?
I'm looking into it. But you were talking about your escape?
Well, when it was time to use the Zenith's transmitter to send Eleuthia back to base, I also sent the encrypted transmission. Then I distracted Verbena long enough to seal myself in the ectogenic chamber, altering the facility's log so it appeared that there were only 236 containers.
And the Gaia root kernel?
I told them I could capture Eleuthia faster if I had it with me, and they believed me.
Well done. You said the Zenith's colony in the Sirius system was destroyed. What happened?
All I was ever told was that a natural disaster forced them to leave Sirius. I've speculated that it was an extrasolar object or a cataclysmic seismic event. Or maybe even an abnormally violent coronal mass ejection from Sirius A.
The Zeniths never told you any details.
They said the only thing that mattered was that they survived. First Earth, 1,000 years ago, and then Sirius.
Guess they survived old age, too. The Zeniths needed Elizabeth's gene print to access Zero Dawn facilities. So they made you. Trained you. And you went along with it?
They told me I was born to interface with the Zero Dawn system. When we reached Earth, I pieced together what must have happened to Gaia and her subordinate functions. That's when I started to realize I wasn't meant to fix Gaia. That they must have made me so I could do what their remote extinction signal failed to do. Reboot Earth for their own benefit.
So you know about the extinction signal?
It was speculation, but the only logical conclusion why Gaia suddenly self-destructed after operating efficiently for centuries. Gaia would have only undertaken such a desperate course of action if it had detected a threat to life on Earth that was more dangerous than ceasing function altogether. I should have realized that she would also order the recreation of Elizabeth Sobek to rebuild her.
Yeah, well, surprise. Alright, I think that's enough for now. Do you want to come upstairs, or...?
So how long? You know, your plan. How long before Gaius fabricated a machine army to defeat the Zeniths?
How did you know?
Optimal strategy, so?
Well, I still have to get 2 more subordinate functions before Guy is powerful enough to absorb Hephaestus.
What? You don't have Hephaestus already?
Guy is still figuring out how to capture it. It's not confined to a single... To a single location, of course not!
You didn't even know who the Zeniths really are.
You were supposed to be further along by now! Coming here was a mistake. They're gonna find me. They're gonna find this place and take me back. This was all for nothing! They're not going to find us. Guy is using Minerva to mask our location. What difference does it make? You're too far behind. We're never going to beat them. Everything, everyone, are gonna die. Hey, calm down. You're here now, right? So is there anything you can do to help? I have certain knowledge sets. And given your state of progress, expertise you probably lack. Geoengineering, of course. Computer science, physics, biology, chemistry. Okay, well, see if you can do something with that. Talk to Gaia. I'll check on you later.
How'd it go?
Her injury's not that bad, but I think she regrets coming here. Feeling might be mutual.
I'll come back later and talk to her. See if I can learn anything.
I should get the weapon fragment to Gaia.